First of all, congratulations with the upcoming release of Dynasty new album, Game of Faces. I have recently listened to the album myself, and I'm very much head over heels for it because I've been into Dynasty since Titanic Mass era, and it's so exciting how far you guys have come, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's been a long journey, but I think that we are still as fresh as we've ever been. There's
Okay.
always new things to learn. There's always new things to be inspired by, and we still love making new albums and developing our live shows and everything. So yeah, we're excited too.
Yeah. Okay. And before we start diving into discussing the album itself, speaking about new things, you are guys of Nuclear Blast now, right? How did it happen, like in the heat of releasing singles?
I've known the Nuclear Blast people for quite some time now. I work with them through Amaranth, which
Mhm.
is another band that features me. And AFM Records and Nuclear Blast is pretty much the same concern. So like the same kind of industry as a whole. There are some particular reasons why everything changed in the middle of the campaign, so to speak. I'm not sure that I'm going to talk about it just yet, or I can't talk about it just yet. But bottom line, and the most important thing is that we are very, very happy with where we are right now on Nuclear Blast, in the middle of the release, more or less, but still very, very happy. And I think we have a very good foundation that we work upon with Nuclear Blast at the moment.
Yes, that's the most important thing, and it surely will work well. I mean, Game of Faces, it's literally like a blast, for sure. And how was the feedback so far for the new single?
Very good. I think a lot of people, a lot of the fans have expressed their enthusiasm about the single. They seem to like it a lot. And they seem to share the same sentiment that we have regarding the song, and which is one of the reasons why it would always be a main single for us, the title track, Game of Faces. So we're very happy to hear the reactions and see that people love it. We just played it live for the first time this past Saturday,
Mhm.
and there were lots of people in a huge festival audience already singing all the lyrics. So it seems people have been listening to it a lot in 1 week or whatever it
Mhm.
was by that time. So we're very happy about it.
Speaking about the new album, Dynasty are known for having songs that are very, I call them like get up and go on type of songs, very inspiring, very uplifting, very reassuring. But Game of Faces, in my opinion, it's like, I don't know, an ultimate compilation of battle hymns, you know? How did you come up with this concept, if I may say so?
I think that when we started writing this album, we had a lot of momentum. At the time, we just came out of the whole COVID pandemic era and we went out on the road and we've been touring a lot, playing festivals all over Europe, all the bigger festivals, and doing lots of tours. And that just gives you that extra edge when you write music, I think, organically. So there was a lot of go in our songwriting. And after a while, when we had written some songs, we started realizing that this would probably be like the blueprint or the theme of the album. And I think we just upped the aggressiveness a little bit or the gusto in the whole thing. So whether it's conscious or unconscious doesn't really matter. It's what it became. And this is what we've always been about, is that we write where we are. It's pretty much a statement of where we were or where we are at the time when we're writing.
Yeah, okay. Which song was the biggest fun to create, and which song was a bit of a challenge?
I think, for example, Game of Faces, since it's out already and everything, was one of the very first songs that we wrote already back in the fall of 2022 after just releasing our latest album, Final Advent. And that was a lot of fun. It was a very wacky idea, the first draft of the song that we had, and then we tweaked it into what it is now. Very easy to write quickly and turned out great. And then I have to think about a song that was more challenging. There's a song on the album called Fire to Fight.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge here was to get all the key changes. Now, this is nerdy musician stuff, but to get all the key changes in the song to actually work. And we ended up adopting a formula that I noticed in an old Scorpion song where they just upped the key constantly throughout the song, which is what we did for this one, and it worked. The trick was to getting the vocal melody of the verse and the chorus to not be so different in pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore we had to change keys. Nerdy stuff, but yeah, this was a bit of a challenge, but I think it turned out really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting that you started speaking about scorpions because I wanted kind of to speak a little bit about them, not about them, but about one of their songs that really was like a resemblance for me with one of the songs on the album, which is Waiting for Spring. And for me, it was, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, it was like a metaphor of waiting for peace, if I may say so, in the current, I would call them unstable times. And Scorpions have a song on the album Face the Heat, which is Under the Same Sun. Have you ever heard it?
Yes, I have. Was a long time ago, but you're very correct. This is the message of the song, and this is the metaphor correctly. And actually, speaking of Scorpions, since have been some troubling times in Europe for the past few years, which during our lifetime or my lifetime, I haven't seen the like of it. This was definitely the inspiration, and it made me think of the song "Wind of Change" by Scorpion,
Okay,
which
so
is
I missed
another
the
one.
song.
That was an inspiration when writing "Dream of Spring." But the metaphor is exactly as you
Spring,
say.
sorry. It was
No
Dream of
worries.
Spring.
The metaphor is exactly as you say. It's basically about the fact that peace and times of peace, it all goes in cycles, just like the seasons, basically. So when we're in winter, we dream of spring. When we come to spring and summer, we forget all about the bad days of winter, and we start to drift off into fall, and all of a sudden it's winter again. It's pretty much what humanity seems to do. So that was the inspiration or the thinking behind the themes of that song.
Yeah, okay. And as we all remember, Wind of Change was like a hymn of things changing for good. So let this song be the same for our generation.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so I allow myself to speak about my personal favorite. This is the song Phoenix. It reminds me of my favorite Dynasty song of all times, which is Freeman's Anthem. Not by the music, but by the spirit. And can you tell us a little bit about this song? How was it created?
Yeah. This was one of the later songs written for the album. I think we said that we needed a song that was a bit different from the others to like complete the whole album, maybe a bit more uplifting, or not that all of the other ones are negative or bringing you down, but more like a very, very immediate positive feel. So this is how Phoenix came to be. The lyrics are about, I think I started from the perspective of being the antithesis of a song from the previous album, Final Advent, which was called Heart of Darkness, which is basically where it was basically about going through the dark night of the soul and a very deep depression. And then this song would be like the phase when you get out of that. Instead, see the world with a clearer view, like a bird's eye view, and where you can finally see all the colors come to life again, and you sort of rise like a phoenix. That was the idea. And I'm glad you mentioned it. I like that song a lot as well. I think it's very uplifting, has a pretty powerful message in there, and it's a great track on the album.
For sure it is. Your vocals, your singing has been changing a lot throughout your career. Can you tell me that now you are in your final best vocal shape, or are there still any rooms for improvements?
I think there is always room for improvement. I've never been, I consider myself to be a pretty progressive singer, maybe even a progressive person in general. I try to never think of myself as complete or 100% fully content and happy with where I am. I always try to accomplish or achieve more, for better or worse. So I think there's always room for improvement. With that being said, I'm very happy with where I am vocally. I tour a lot, or especially the past 2, 3 years, which puts a strain on me physically in general, and sometimes on my voice as well. Or those things go hand in hand. But overall, when I'm very well rested and everything, then I think I'm in the best vocal shape of my life so far.
Have you ever tried extreme vocals? I'm curious. Oh, it's not your thing completely.
I actually, yeah, I have. I mean, I've actually there is some on the album, but it's hidden in layers of the
Ah,
background vocals with me doing some, like, if you would consider it growl vocals or extreme vocals or whatever. And I've tried it. It's basically just distorting your voice, and you don't really have to worry about hitting the keys, so it's a lot easier than singing. And it's a different facet. I think I might explore it some more later on, but the main thing for me is about actual singing and not just screaming.
I just thought about you having some extreme vocals, your extreme vocals on the album, when I listened to your other work with New Horizon, which we speak about a little later. And there was a song, I think it was Fallout War. And
Mhm.
I think these where I heard your like lowest singing that you've ever performed. And I thought that that was like one step from sounding a little of extreme vocals to me. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I think I did some stuff there, but that is maybe considered extreme or on the edge of being extreme vocals. And some low stuff as well. We usually there's a lot going on in the layers of vocals that you don't really hear up front on the albums, but when we're recording background vocals, there can be some of those more extreme stuff or really low stuff and whatnot. But if there's no clear cut or obvious place to use it in the actual melody of the song, then it's not going to be used. So.
I saw you in 2022 performing on a festival in Finland with Dynazty, and then like one band away, you was already performing with Amaranth. That was super impressive. So how do you find actually the energy to perform in two bands in the same day?
Yeah, good question. I just you get off stage, you wipe away all the sweat, you maybe eat something, you sit down for a little bit, and then you get up and go again. I try to not think about it so much. No, but you definitely have to pace yourself during that day a little bit more. I've done it many times at this point, double shows, double duty. This past summer, there were a lot of times where we played one day on the same festival, or like one day with Amaranth, one day with Dynazty on the same festival, and a couple of occasions on the same day as well. So I think I've grown accustomed to this thing by now. And it's basically about not sitting down and getting too tired and just keeping the energy flow going and then getting up on stage again. There are many times where you've done rehearsals where you play through the entire set 2 times or even 3 times. So it's not that much of a difference, but then you add the whole physicality of being on stage, and then you know it's different from rehearsing, but still you have those miles in your body, I think.
Yeah, of course. The next question, as you are already aware, I am familiar with Dynasty work quite a lot, and your lyrics made me think that you're into some, spiritual sort of thinking of life. So, am I right?
It depends on what you mean specifically, but maybe.
No, I mean, this is an amazing, sensation of thinking that there is some, I don't know, higher power or some energy that kind of rules our world, and it can be either negative or positive. And I'm not speaking about religion here. It's like a bit different dimension of perception.
I mean, sure. When it comes to spirituality, I'd like to say that we all live from the perspective of our own mind, of our own
Mhm,
psyche, and how we perceive things, good or bad, depends on ourselves, basically. And there are many different ways of looking at things. Either things happen because everything is terrible and it's bad things just happen to you, or you can consider bad things as a learning lesson and you can turn it into actually in the long run something good happening to you.
mhm,
So I guess I'm really into trying to fine tune the human psyche into something that can be of a beneficial for both you and the world around you as well. And trying to keep a very positive mindset is
mhm,
key in all aspects, basically. So yes, and when it comes to spirituality, it depends on what you mean and how you define it. Some people view it as a clear-cut religious case where you believe in a God and that
mhm,
rules above all and everything, or you can just step back and say, I don't really know. Nobody knows exactly
mhm.
what our world is, what will happen to us when we die, and these like difficult questions. And I might have my own views on the whole thing, but I don't know if I would like to talk about it openly in an interview like this.
Yes, okay, I got it. Sorry if this question was a little bit personal. It's just,
There's no problem, no problem.
this is just, in the meantime, lyrics are made in songs for people just to try and project them on themselves. And what you mean isn't actually the same that some viewer can understand. I mean, listener can understand. So yeah, that's quite
Very
logical.
much so, yes. That's the beauty of lyrics, I think, is that sometimes I'm very hesitant about saying exactly what I was thinking when I was writing lyrics when asked, which I often is in interviews and such. But because it might rob the person listening of getting the chance to actually interpret them exactly as they will. So yeah, I think that's the beauty of lyrics, and I've done that in the past many times. I bands that was listening to or lyrics that I was listening to, I had my own interpretation, and then I went out somewhere and saw an interview where somebody was explaining it, and it was completely different from the way I interpreted it. But it
Ah,
doesn't take away from anything. You should interpret it the way you do.
the next question, what would you prefer, astronomy or astrology?
I would say astronomy then.
Okay. This, for some reason, also came to my mind. Maybe I was more inspired by already the New Horizon album that was released in summer, and there was a song dedicated to Galileo Galilei. I hope I got it correctly. It was really a bit of a challenge for me, and I remember I was writing a review about this album, and only after that I had an interview with Jonah. And having an interview with him, I realized that actually I got half of the songs. I mean, the themes of the songs were not what they were about originally. So from now on, I just decided that first I have interviews and then I write a review. So I will be writing a review. Game of Faces, and yeah, just in case of I needed to clarify some moments. So yeah, New Horizon. Did it influence somehow your work with Dynasty further?
I don't think so, actually. We already started writing this Dynasty album before I
Uh-huh.
even started working with Jonah and doing that New Horizon album, and it continued simultaneously as I was doing it. I don't think it really affected. I'm pretty good at keeping things separate. I thought it was a lot of fun to do the New
Mhm.
Horizon album, especially working with Jonah and everything. So that helps me being inspired at all times. So maybe it just helped me being even more inspired working with Dynazty and writing that album or the Game of Faces album. Maybe.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. By the way, fun thing that we discussed with Jonah is the fact that actually now when Eric Gronwell is free from Skid Row, it would be possible, how we discussed, maybe somehow for you to have a duo. And as long as that topic of the Conquerors album was some significant personalities, either historical or fictional, I was thinking what actually historical or fictional character you would like to portray vocally in the project, and if it is a duo with Eric.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's plenty to choose from. Maybe it could work. There had to be some sort of communication between the two or something like that if you write
Dialogue.
it like a duet.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to think of something on the cuff, but nothing really comes to mind. Maybe you can. What would be? What would you like to hear?
Well,
What historical figures?
if it comes to my mind, I mean, the first historical duos that came to my mind were Caesar and Brutus and Charles the 12th and Peter the Great. It's from Swedish history.
What about Caesar and Cleopatra? Who would be Cleopatra?
I don't know. It's up to you. I think you have to do rock, paper, scissors for that.
Okay.
Yes, and if fictional, I can come up with Batman and Joker, for example.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't think I've heard a Batman rock song, a duet with the Joker and Batman. Yeah, that could
Yes.
be pretty cool.
Exactly. One of the last things I wanted to discuss with you, and it was partially actually inspired by your song King of Kings for New Horizon. Have you ever heard Jesus Christ Superstar rock opera?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I for some reason had no doubt about it. And that song, King of Kings, really made me think a lot about this rock opera being re-edited with modern days great singers. And whose part in this rock opera would you like to have?
It's actually one I've listened to Jesus Christ Superstar for a long, long time. I think I heard it, or actually, it's one of those things that my mom played to me. She had the original recordings, the first recording with Ian Gillan as Jesus Christ. I think it's Murray Head as Judas from 1973. She had it on vinyl and she played it for me. And I listened to it a lot in my childhood growing up. So it's definitely a big part of my musical upbringing in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always wondered which I would, you can't really play. I love both main male parts, Jesus and Judas, and I would like to do both, but you obviously can't at the same time. I've actually seen Australian singer John Farnham, who was Jesus Christ in the Australian version of Jesus Christ Superstar. I've seen there's a live version we actually sings both Jesus and Judas in one song, but you can't really do it for the full thing. So I don't know. It's either one of those I would be happy with. So maybe Jesus a little bit more, maybe.
Yes. Is there any chance that you would be able to perform Gethsemane now live?
Well, you mean on camera?
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I forgot that you don't feel well. I mean, how dared I to ask this question? It would be too good to come true.
I only want to say, if there is a way, take this cup away from me, for I don't want to taste the poison, feel it burn me. I'm trying to remember the lyrics, but I'm not 100% sure of the lyrics, so I'm gonna stop right there. But yeah,
I'm not as sure of where we started. I'm not as sure as where we started. Yeah.
I'm not as sure as when we started. Then I was inspired, but now I'm sad and tired. Listen, surely I've exceeded expectations. I've tried for 3 years, seems like 30. Could you ask as much from any other man? Yeah, something like that.
No, this is amazing. I will send this to my mom because actually I had exactly the same story as you. My mom was a huge fan of Deep Purple. And
Yeah.
I have the original Ian Gillan version, but as a CD. And as you can imagine, it's not the most obvious thing for a 7-year-old girl to like.
No,
I
I
grew
mean,
up in the
yeah,
90s and it wasn't quite obvious to listen to such music.
that's a good thing about have good parents who can show you all the good
Exactly.
stuff from the past that you would not find otherwise.
Exactly. This time, sorry, I'm still impressed. This is a remarkable.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not just trying to remember the melodies and the
No, no, no.
lyrics
It
like
was
that.
a complete improvisation, and seriously, I'm just impressed that you. Yeah, I'm a little speechless. Sorry. Oh my God. So. Well, actually, that was the best final for the interview. And the very, very last question I have is what would be some of your New Year resolutions related to Dynasty that you would like to share with us?
I think first and foremost is to finally lock in and do a tour of our home country, Sweden, for next year,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that we are working on to do it properly. And also, of course, to come back to our neighbors in Finland in 2025 and to tour as much as we possibly can during next year, which is what we are currently working around the clock
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that we will.
Yes.
That would be my New Year's resolution.
Thank you so much for this amazing interview.